Welcome back, everyone. In this module on the next two, we want to take a look at a couple of specially formatted files. This one is going to be on CSV files, comma separated value files. We're going to also take a look at JSON and XML files and how Python can handle them. Of course, you can always use pandas to read these files, and there are other libraries available. But here we're going to take a look at just working purely with CSV file using the CSV library of Python. So working with a CSV file, first of all, a CSV is comma separated value. It does not have to be commas, by the way. It could be semicolons, could be tabs, could be hyphens. But generally speaking, they're called comma separated values or CSV files. They're nothing more than text files with a CSV extension. In fact, they don't have to have a CSV extension. So to work with them, I'm going to import the CSV library, and then I'm going to, I have this sample file, which I'm going to show you guys. So here it is. It is very simple. It's just got 3 lines. It's got a last name, first name, username, password, etc. And we want to read this. And this is showing up in Apple's numbers. But if I open it up without using numbers, let's say I open it up just as a text file. So let me open it with TextEdit here. You can see that it is basically a comma separated value file. It's got the headers up here, and then you have, first name is Frank, last name, Riley. It's not lining up very well, but it doesn't have to because it is separated by commas. This first name is Frank, last name is Riley, username is F Riley, etc. So I'm going to open this for reading purposes, and I have a CSV reader, which is going to be my CSV reader pass the CSV file to it. So CSV has a reader method, this library, and I can pass a file to it and read all that, and then I can print it all out. So let's take a look at that. As you can see, it prints out this as an object. What I really need to do is to iterate over it or loop over it. So I'm going to use a variable line, and I'm going to loop over this CSV reader, which was created by using the reader method of the CSV library here, or module here, to go over all the lines that were read. And I will put a blank space between them. So here it is. As you can see, everything is coming out with a line break. Now, interestingly enough, if you pay attention, of course, it is putting these in square brackets, which should let you know that when you call CSV.reader, what that is doing is basically creating a list. So I have this list, another list, another list. So each row is being treated as a list, which means I have access to these elements. This is element 0, 1, 2, etc. Of course, the first one is the header, and then we have the data lists that are showing up. Let's go ahead and get all the emails. So CSV file is open to sample again. I don't have to do this. Of course, I've done it before, but let's just do it so we have it nice and clean. I'm going to just go and for the line, I'm going to get element number 4. So let's see, that's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. And of course, that is what I expect with a list. So as you can see, I have email address, which is the header, and then I have the emails that are showing up. We don't want to see the header, so let's step over it. I can do this by doing the same thing. I'm going to say next CSV reader to step over the item. So that's going to move on to the next, and then I'll loop over it. And this way, I just get the email addresses back. What if I want to write to a CSV file, but not with a comma, but say with a hyphen as a delimiter? So I'm going to open my data right here, sample.csv, read it all in. Now I'm going to create a new file variable, which is creating this new file, new sample.csv, which doesn't exist right now, but this is for writing purposes. And I'm going to have a CSV writer variable, which is going to call the CSV module and call the writer method, and write to this new file with the delimiter of hyphen. And then once I have that, I can loop over what I've read and write to write row, call the write row method, and pass to it the line right here. Print a little dot and end with nothing. This is sort of our compiler, if you will, in the old-fashioned way. And then I'm going to close the file. So what this is, if this was, of course, a very much longer one, you see all these dots going across. You may remember that's one of the ways to know that something is busy, is basically your progress line in command line, if you will. So I should have that file now. I should have a file called new sample.csv, and I can see that I do have it. I am going to open it up with my text editor and show it to you. So here it is. New sample.csv, and for some odd reason, I don't see why nothing was written to it, which is really, really strange. Let me see what's going on. I'm not quite sure why I didn't write. Let me go ahead and run it again, and then open it up and see if this time it will show. And yes, it does. So here we are, and we can see that this is in fact using hyphens as delimiters, which by the way is a bad idea. Moving right along, I'm going to create another file. This one is going to be tab delimited. So because tab doesn't have a key on the keyboard, we can use the \T as a delimiter. So it's the same exact construct as we saw up here. It's just that I'm doing that. So let's go ahead and do this. And I should have this new file. It's called tab sample. Let me open this one up. And it's really odd. I'm not quite sure why it shows up blank initially, but let me try it again. There we are. And so these are not tab separated at this point. There are tabs between these lines at this point. So that's, and I can go ahead and take a look at opening up this tab sample and looping over that, just so we can see that we get the same exact result as we had with, say, the comma one, but this one is using tabs because we're using the tab delimiter. Up above, you may recall when I was doing this initially, when I went through this loop to get all the emails and stuff, I opened a CSV file. And I read the file csv.reader. I did not specify the delimiter. If you don't specify the delimiter, it assumes that you are using a comma. If you're not using a comma, then you need to put the second parameter in that says what is the delimiter that you are using. In this case, I am using a tab, so I would have to put that in. Well, that's it. This is a fairly short video of to go over what a CSV is. Thanks for being a great audience. If you're enjoying these, please share, and I'll see you in the next video.